Be sure to catch Internet Mysteries weekdays on RatedEm.
Super Smash Bros. Is a legendary series that I'm sure everyone has played at least once in their lives. Originally starting out as a clash between iconic Nintendo characters, the series has welcomed gaming icons from other companies and series into the roster, such as Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid, and Sega's Sonic the Hedgehog, and Minecraft's Steve. While many other platform fighters have emerged over the years, no companies have decided to make one solely based on their properties, except for one. In 2012, Sony developed their own platform fighting game starring their own cast of classic characters. PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale tries to capture the feel of Nintendo's brawler with a PlayStation coat of paint. In today's episode, we're spotlighting one of Sony's most obscure titles and taking a look into PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. So let me first give a summary of what this game actually is. PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, which I'm just going to cut down to PlayStation All-Stars from this point forward, is a platform fighter released in 2012, developed by Superbot Entertainment and Bluepoint Games. You might have heard of Bluepoint. They did the Demon's Souls remake for the PS5 and the Shadow of the Colossus remake for the PS4. Superbot Entertainment is a name you've probably never heard of, but that's because they developed only one game. PlayStation All-Stars. Ex-Sony Santa Monica devs Shannon Studstill and Chan Park formed Broodworks in 2009 to then rename it to Superbot Entertainment and expand the company from there. They were then hired by Sony to develop PlayStation All-Stars and then closed their doors 2 years after the game's release. The game lets players fight each other on a 2D plane as one of 20 available characters. Most of them are iconic PlayStation mascots such as Kratos, Nathan Drake, Toro Inoue, and Sly Cooper, but some of them aren't as strong standing, at least in my opinion. Fat Princess isn't that well known. I hadn't heard of Noriko or the game that she's from before I played this game, and while I love BioShock, I don't consider it to be a PlayStation property. The game also has some characters that I would consider PlayStation mascots, but they're versions of the characters that I don't immediately think of. These characters are Raiden from Metal Gear and Dante from Devil May Cry, but it's specifically the Metal Gear Rising version of Raiden and the DMC version of Dante. This was likely done for one of two reasons, or maybe even both. The first being that both of these games would come out a year after PlayStation All-Stars in 2013, and these designs were likely chosen to promote these games. The other reason is that the original designs must have been considered not badass enough or something like that. Aside from those examples, the rest of the cast is pretty good. They didn't just pick from whatever was new at the time. The roster features characters from older PlayStation properties such as Medieval and Parappa the Rapper. Okay, tangent over, let's go back to gameplay. The game does take a lot of inspiration from Smash Bros. With game modifiers such as items and stage hazards. The items aren't anything too special to talk about, but I do want to talk about the stages and then the stage hazards. There's a bunch of stages that are all references to PlayStation games, like there's one for Infamous and there's one for Twisted Metal. The really cool thing is, instead of just having stage hazards from the game that the stage is inspired by, characters from other games will come in and invade the current stage to shake things up. For example, on the Loco Roco stage, Metal Gear Ray will break through the background and start firing missiles at you. The Ratchet and Clank stage has the Leviathan from the first level of God of War 1. It's little things like that. I think that this is really cool, and it pushes that Worlds Collide theme a lot harder. The stage is no longer just a background that you play against, but it also becomes a part of the action between you and your opponents, and it also stays in the theme with the overall game. Each player has this energy meter that fills up over the course of the match, and the first 2 times you fill it up, your character has access to a powerful special move. The third time you fill it up, an even more powerful special move gets used that has its own accompanying cutscene that's usually a reference to the game that the character is from. So the game does differ from Smash Bros, where instead of building up enough percent to eventually get a kill, you're basically beating the shit out of your opponents to get your special meter up, and then using these special meter moves to get kills instead. Going up to 1 meter might land you 1 kill, but multiple if you're lucky. the second meter has a bigger chance to land multiple kills, and the third meter level has the biggest chance to kill all of your opponents in one go. I don't hate this formula. It puts an emphasis on these special moves and gives them a bit more importance by making them sort of the short-term goal you're working towards within a match.
Have you ever thought to yourself, why did this game I love shut down?
So Epic Games acquired Mediatonic.
Various balancing issues were still present.
And this is going to be a recurring theme with XDefiant's history, timing.
Luckily, there's a show that's just as curious as you are. Be sure to catch new episodes of So What Happened To, right here on RatedEm.
Overall, the game is jam-packed with references to each character's game, even down to the individual moves that a character has. Cole can fire shots of lightning, just like in Infamous. All of Kratos' moves are not just moves that are available in-game, but with a bunch of different weapons that he acquires over the series as well. I want to also discuss the arcade mode, and I'm just going to say this now, I only did the Kratos arcade mode because when you take into account the load times and the match is taking 3 minutes, one arcade mode run takes up to 30 minutes. The arcade mode is nothing all too crazy, it's exactly what you think it is. Except before the final fight, you have to face off against your character's quote-unquote rival, which for some reason they decided Sweet Tooth should be Kratos' rival. I mean, I can see it, they're both from PlayStation's most violent and gory series, so maybe that's the connection. But aside from Kratos and Sweet Tooth, Ratchet & Clank's rival is Jak and Daxter, which makes sense considering how similar the two games are. Raiden and Cole McGrath make sense because they're both lightning and electricity themed characters. Even Toro and Heihachi I can make the connection between in that they're both from series that are way more popular in Japan than the West. After your fight with your rival, you then have to fight the old PlayStation mascot Polygon Man. I think it was a really cool decision to make him the big villain since he is as original of a PlayStation mascot as it gets. It's really easy to spot the love in this game. There's a lot of thought put into the references and interactions between the characters, and there's a lot of effort into highlighting PlayStation's diverse history. Overall, the game has a lot of charm, and personally, I think it's fun. I've heard over the years about how bad and downright awful this game is, but after playing it for myself, it's really not that bad as people say it is. I'll admit, the game does feel a bit rigid and clunky, but I think that's fine for a simple party brawler. If you're wanting a competitive fighter, sure, maybe this isn't the game for you. But if you're a PlayStation fan who just wants to have some fun with friends or even against the CPUs, this game is just fine. I really don't get the hype behind the hate. I had fun with this one. I didn't think it was cringeworthy or an awful game by any means at all. It was fine enough and I enjoyed playing it. I guess the moral here is that maybe form your own opinions on something instead of just taking what other people have to say at face value. I even suggest you go and play this game for yourself instead of just hearing me say it's fun. See how you feel about it for yourself. I'm just telling you what I thought of the game, not what you should think of the game. The game is a bit difficult to get your hands on, but if you can, I suggest you try it out. It's obscure, it's weird, but above all else, it's lovable.